How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's that time again. It's time to get creative. It's time to look into animation. Time to get imaginative. And it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from the amazing, the astounding, the just incredible illustration work of Gustave Dore. If you're not familiar with him, you should be. I don't know why. Seems to be an illustrator that isn't really talked about as much as a lot of other ones these days. I got copy of, well, let me just play this here. Found a little video that highlights some of his illustrations from Dante, the Divine Comedy, and that's over here. It's Divine Comedy, right? That's what I'm thinking? Yeah. For some reason, a guy going to hell and the name comedy wasn't really meshing, but he has such amazing illustration work, and this is a book that I've had, at least it was floating around in my family since I was a little boy, and this was the Dore Bible illustrations. You know, whatever you want to say about that, but the illustrations are top notch. I mean, check that stuff out. That is amazing. His work is just sick. It's got so much detail in there, and the anatomy is spot on. His perspective is great. The composition, the layout. He just nails personality and stuff in there. I mean, look at these horses. His stuff is so great. If you guys haven't done your research and studied some Dore, take a week, a month, a year, and just study this guy. He's awesome. Such great stuff. Now, since I don't feel like he's very, at least in the internet age, there hasn't been a ton of recognition for his work. And it's not like he's impossible to find, but there's just not a ton out there. It did take me a little while to find some quotes from him to share with you guys, and that's kind of something that I'm kind of doing as a side passion project, is to try to find quotes from these illustrators that I love that hit me somewhere and share them with you guys. So I was able to locate an interview that he did in the Appleton Journal in the 1800s, and I pulled out a couple little snippets. The interview is really interesting, and if I can find it again, I'll link it down in the information below for you guys, along with the link to this stuff with the Divine Comedy, and should link to Amazon. So if you guys want to pick this book up for yourselves, I would definitely suggest doing that as well. But yeah, the interview is really interesting. It goes into kind of just talking about, it's interesting because it's 1800, so just listening to the interviewer, or reading the interviewer and Gustave talking back and forth about London and San Francisco and all that stuff is really interesting, just as a period piece in of itself. But here's a couple of quotes that I grabbed out there that I wanted to share with you guys. I think long over any work before I commit it to paper or canvas, nor do I let it go forth without careful correction and retouching. And I know for myself, I tend to get in this mentality of just more work and keep producing and keep doing something new and keep doing that. But I think there comes a time, and I try to do at least a couple hours a day of just something where I sit down and I just work on one thing for a long period of time, and then maybe reiterate on that same version for a week or 2 weeks, or kind of carefully go over that. One of the books that I'm working on is something where I do a little bit more of that kind of stuff. But I know that there's a strange mentality, especially with this internet culture age, is that, you know, you're inundated with images and videos and all this stuff. You know, you can just scroll through your Twitter feed and you might follow artists or illustrators or something. You'll get, like, you know, these 50 amazing illustrations that these people are putting weeks and months in their lives, and we just scroll through them. So I think it's a hard thing to really focus on, like, you know, putting 100, 400 hours into an illustration, even if it's top notch. I feel like that's a thing that we have to figure out a new medium for. I'm not saying that we don't want to do that, but it's hard to dedicate that much time and that much effort into something, where before, you know, if you got your illustration in a newspaper, that was how it was sent out and everyone would see it and it would talk about it, or in a journal or something like that, where it's just an interesting culture. And it got me thinking about my process, and am I spending enough time on this stuff, or am I spending too much time? And I like his process, though, and I think ideally that's how I'd want to be, but I don't know if that culture works as well in the internet age of spending all that much time. That being said, I think there's some value and merit to it, and something that I definitely am going to have to mull over in my processes as well. And then just following along with that, there was another. They were asking him about an upcoming book of illustrations that he was talking about, and he said it's an undertaking that I do not mean to hasten. And again, that's more kind of that slow down, enjoy the process, make sure it's at that top level, that really peak level that you want to be associated with your name. And pause that just so we don't get any commercials or anything. But I'm kind of rambling a little bit because I like doing these videos with you guys too, because it gives me a chance to kind of dissect my own process and where I'm thinking in my own career and stuff. So let me know what you guys think down below. If at the time period we're in, if it's better to just continue to put work out there so you're continually reaching out to people, giving new stuff out there, especially with this age of a lot of video. I feel like we're shifting away from even print medium or written word and switching all over to videos, is evident with the stuff that I'm talking about with you guys today as well. But I think that's for, if you're an animator or an illustrator, that stuff takes time. Like, you can't just pump it out and pump it out. I mean, we do these quick ones, but it's 2 seconds of animation that we really do. I mean, realistically, it's not a short that we're doing in an hour. It's 2 seconds, and we want to get as much of that polish that we can in there. And even this stuff, I'd probably, if I was putting it on my reel, go in there and spend at least another hour and a half on it too. So I think it's interesting. So let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm just rambling too much and should get on with the video, let me know down in the comments below. But I think it's an interesting subject to ponder and to think about in this age that we're getting in. And I don't think it's done yet either. I think we're still in that transition period where content creators are trying to figure out what is the best means to go about in the internet age. If we continue with just doing stuff on a canvas, and it's a painting, and it takes you 2 months to do that painting, and then it's that, or do you put out a bunch of stuff every day and just try and keep up with everything that's going on all the time? All right, but I'm rambling too much. Let's get in to today's video. Again, if you're not familiar with this video or portion of the video, what we do first, we usually start off with a little bit of inspiration. It gives me a chance to refuel myself and get inspired and look for different artists or look back at different artists that I've liked, and hopefully share that with you guys so you guys grow. And then the second half, we do a little bit of animation. I find a rig that's a free rig, much like this one, which I don't want to get the name wrong here. It is the Swappable Car Rig with Ubershockies. A little bit longer name there. It's a free rig that you can grab over on Creative Crash. I will throw a link to that in the information below. And don't forget, if you guys do an animation using one of these rigs, definitely share it back so I can see all the amazing stuff you guys are coming up with. But we give ourselves 48 frames and anywhere from like 45 minutes to about 2 hours. Tinker with this rig. I've never used it before, so that'll create its own challenges and its own problems and hurdles to go over, give us different things to talk about, and try to come up with some creative solutions. And this one's going to be a little bit different as well, and I've been trying to just be free with this, not to give myself too many limitations, but we're going to try and do a walk with the car. Now, there's a couple approaches, and just because we started off where we started off with Dore talking about, I like to think through things before we get it on paper, before we get it on a canvas. I'll tell you a little bit about what I was thinking with this rig. I wanted to do more of a vehicle. I've been kind of tinkering with that idea in the back of my head for a little while. So there's two approaches that we could go with this. Well, I'm sure there's a million, but two that I'm kind of focusing on. We can do more of a traditional, car movement. So that would just be, the rolling on as well as going here. And then we add a little bit of animation kind of overlaid on the top of that pretty much successive movement. The other thing we could try and do, a different idea would be try to take this rig and give it some personality and make it more, what's the word? Where you take it's like anamorphic, but I don't think that's the right word. Oh, it's gonna bug me. It's where you take human aspects and you put it into inanimate objects or to animals or anything, giving them that human qualities. Can't think of the word. Let me know down in the comments below. I'm sure I'm going to look it up as soon as I'm done with this video because that's going to bug me in the back of my head. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is create a polygon primitives cube, and I'm still not sure which one I want to do. I'd rather do it where we can try and get some human qualities to this rig. I think that would be a little more fun to try that out. But if not, we can always just go kind of the straight and narrow where we just do, you know, left to right movements and then overlay some animation on top of that in the car with a little bit of bounciness and stuff like that, which would still be fun and be a little more realistic to a car itself. But I think if we can try to do, what was it? I think Bugs Bunny had an animated car in there where they did some different stuff with that. And I'm sure there's lots of other ones too. And maybe I'm not even thinking Bugs Bunny, but I think it is. Anyways, so let's go ahead and save our file before we go too much further. And this one we are gonna call it Ubershockies. Because I like that. I think it's Ubershockies, but just shorter. So let's see if we can't try and do that. Raise it up here so it would now if we don't have a mid section to this, that's going to be difficult to sell the weight here. If we had some sort of a rotate in between. Spin? No. Rear wheel spin. Okay. I want to still like have a sense of weight and balance and everything to this. So we'll have to see if we can't get that. Pull these down a little bit more, or maybe forward. And then we could lift this up a little bit so we can keep that bumper off the ground. Maybe we can pull these down a little bit. I still wish there was a way that we could just add a little bit of rotate downward on the front here. Let's see. Window animation, window outliner. Let's see if we can get into the geometry here. Floor seat. Now we're gonna break the rig already. Great. I try not to break the rigs, I really do, but sometimes I come up with an idea and front left and front. Maybe we can just do a little bit. Can we move those? Can. We can rotate them down here. Push them there. Move this as are the yeah they are going to okay, so that's kind of cool. But I think before we want to do that, we want to do see if we can get a little bend maybe in that front cab. think this stuff's, I don't know. Sometimes I debate whether I should fast forward through some of this stuff, but if you guys want to skip ahead a little bit, that's totally fine too. I think having okay, front right hub, front left hub, and bonnet. There we go. Now can I rotate those down a little bit? Why don't we do that so much? Front left hub and front right hub. What if we move those a little forward, a little over, and a little bit down? And maybe we can pull the tires down a little bit. And let's keep it where it was. Just do a little bit with the headlights. Rotate those just a little bit. I think that's good enough. It would be nice again, like I said, if we could get a little bit of bend there, so we could try that. But if not, that's all right. Okay. Okay, so we're going to try as best as we can to see if we can't get this to work. So let's go ahead and turn everything off except for our NURB curves, NURB surfaces, and polygons. Let's go ahead and save this as a separate version, just in case this kind of janks up. We can always go back to just doing it pretty stock. Ubershockies version, alt version. Okay, we're going to go to frame 0, and we'll go ahead and set our key there, and go to frame 48. Excuse me, kind of a little bit of hiccups today. Set our key there. Okay. Let's see if we can't build the foundation for this. I was thinking we'd have to lift up on the passing position, but if this is a car, you wouldn't really have to do a lift up, would you? You could just do vroom, vroom. Vroom, vroom. Nice. You could just keep the wheels on the ground, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's go to the other side here. And let's push that forward. And then push this guy forward. Now this is weird territory doing stuff. This is pretty much doing not what this rig was made for. So we are going to probably get into some weird issues with our animation, but I like to try weird stuff sometimes. I think it's fun to try and come up with different ideas or different approaches to doing this kind of stuff, because this is kind of what I would do with hand-drawn stuff, you know? Come up with fun ideas and then do it, rather than worry about the restrictions of what this rig can or can't do. Okay, one thing I'm noticing right here that I'm just going to go in and fix right now is I don't want it to stick through the thing. Oh, another thing that I'm noticing is it's no good. I don't want that shock showing through. Maybe we'll just turn the visibility off on that, just so that it's not sticking out. Okay. We'll save what we have here. Control S. I think this is starting to be something that I think is doable. When I first saw it, I was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know for sure if this is going to be something that'll work, but I think we can get this to work. So join with me while we do it, while we attempt this. Who knows? This might be weird. Well, it is. It's already weird, but it might turn out funky. But I think it's okay to try stuff like that. Like, if you're not pushing yourself to try different things and to see where your boundaries are for stuff, then what's the point? Okay, so we got the foot going out, then it goes back, then it goes out again, and then it goes back again. Let's push that foot back out and back down. Okay, so let's go ahead and just watch that. Alright, so we definitely have some pacing problems. So let's go Window, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. It should be Translate Z, but who knows, maybe it's Translate X. Okay, we just want to even that out, and that should be universally the left to right or right to left movement, so that it's pretty straightforward. Let's check that out then. And can we give it some rotate? Darn, there's no rotate on the wheel. Kind of weird, but that's okay. There was one that had like a funky thing. Where's that controller though? Is it here? It's like rear wheel spin. Try that front wheel. We can do some front wheel spin. For some reason, the rear wheel spin isn't working right. So we can go ahead and spin those front wheels though. Let's crank that bad boy up. Make those wheels spin. It's kind of a bummer that these back ones don't do that though. So maybe they're just not enough. Well, it seems like that one side's spinning. Just get rid of it. It's not working. That's okay though. Let's do, what's that, translate Y, lift that up, and put it down, lift it up, put it down, lift it up, and put it down, lift it up, and put it down. So let's see. Okay, feels like that's a little too much, so let's go ahead and pull that back. Again, this is going to be kind of funky. We're kind of playing around. I don't know that I've seen anybody do something quite like this before, so I don't know that except for that Roger Rabbit stuff. So, and this rig really wasn't made for this kind of thing, but that's okay. Just because it wasn't made for it doesn't mean that we can't make it that way. Let's pull this wheel in. on the side there. And treat it like that, you know, you got hips and stuff here. Okay. I think we're going to tone that down a lot too, because this is a funky idea. A funky idea, that's for sure. Let's go ahead and watch that now. Let's do a little bit of rotate Y here. Doesn't seem to rotate Y though, just one direction. Let's see if we can force it to do that. Okay, if we can't do it there, maybe we can do it with the other controller here. Means we probably have to go in and readjust our wheels, but we should be able to do a little bit of it that way. Let's see here. So we're getting some stuff where the wheels are lifting off, and I don't think I want that. Might be something we'll try. So let's go ahead and pull that tire down and back so we can still get it on the ground there. Don't intersect it through the ground. Just little adjustments from what we had before. Since we got that angle in there, I want to keep those wheels on the ground. I think, unlike a typical walk, I want to keep these wheels on the ground without lifting up. To still get that rolling aspect rather than a step aspect. It's different. It's more of a, I guess, an artistic choice for that than a mechanics choice, because we could do the other way. Because either way, this isn't like completely real. It's not like we have reference for this that we can really pull. Except for that one Roger Rabbit short, and I want to say it's Roger Rabbit, but now I'm thinking something Toontown. But isn't Toontown Roger Rabbit too? I don't know. The rights are funky with that because it's Warner Brothers and Disney at the same time. Is it Disney? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. Just trying to keep those wheels a little bit so they're not intersecting and so that they're not lifting off. Let's see. Squash and stretch here that we can do. So let's see here. think that might be a little too much translate Z here, so let's go ahead and just scale that back. Let's see if we can do a little bit of side to side here. And back that way. And pull that off. So let's see here. Okay, this is definitely an experiment, but it's kind of fun to play around with this, see what we can get. There's not a great roadmap for what to do with something like this, for this idea, that's for sure. And then let's go ahead and do a little bit down. Maybe we'll peek it up just a little bit. We'll go down and back. Oh, actually, delete that. Yeah, no, that's right. And back, and up, and back, up, and back, and up, and down. Okay, let's go ahead and see that. I think I want it the other way around though. So we'll invert what we have. We'll make our ups our downs and our downs our ups. Because I think that the timing works okay on there, but I want it to. Okay, let's go ahead and see that. Okay, we need to kick it up a bit more. Maybe we could even delay it a frame. Let's go ahead and watch that. Maybe even one more frame. Let's try that. And let's get into front and see if we can do a little bit there as well. So I'll have that lift up. And lift down. Let's see here. Making sure I start up. I want it to be the same timing there, but we'll go ahead and do that. We'll leave it at that, and then we'll tweak the timing a little bit, because I think I just want it to be a frame or so off, not completely different timing. Okay, that's good. Let's push it forward a frame. Maybe not as high up. So tone it down. You just don't want it everything flapping so much, just a little bit will work. So let's see. And then let's do a little bit. Do they have a translate X? Translate X. Translate X. Translate X. I just feel like since we don't have as many, we use a lot of these controllers since we don't have a lot of body parts per se to use on this. We have the couple of wheels we got, and then the main sector, and we don't have a ton of controllers for it, so I want to use a lot of our manipulators for it. And let's just delay that one frame, just to add some variation. Maybe we'll minimize that a little more. Maybe even one more frame later. Let's see. And we'll zero that out. Zero that out. Go here, here, here. And we'll just do a bounce on these guys. Let's see if we can switch it so it goes. Let's see here. Let's delay it one frame from what we have. Maybe we could do a little bit of rotate inward on these guys. Let's see here. Select that. Like I said, if you only have a certain amount of controls, you gotta use what you can. So grab both of those, go back to 0, set that. And let's get into those rotate Ys. Let's see here. So we'll go a little bit in. And let's go a little bit out, a little bit in, a little bit out, a little bit in, a little bit out, a little bit in, a little bit out, and back again. So let's see. Just maybe add some wobble to those wheels there. And a little bit in, a little bit out, a little bit in, a little bit out, a little bit in, a little bit out, in, out, and back. So let's see here. And then just for some variation, let's go ahead and take what we have on this one and delay it a frame, and take what we have on this one and go push it forward a frame. Okay, let's go and save what we have, and let's see if we can get into doing some stuff here real quick as well. Okay. have to push this forward a frame now because it feels like it's hitting the. And maybe push this forward a frame as well. Okay. It's just that first one feels a little too far forward. So maybe what we'll do is we'll push this one a little bit further forward here. Scale this one in a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, so save that, and then we'll go into our outliner and see if we can't find those headlights again. We can set it there, and then raise them up, and bring it back down, raise them up, and bring it back down, and raise them up, bring it back down, raise them up, and bring it back down. So let's see here. Now let's just tweak that a little bit more. Let's go ahead and watch that now. You're raising too high and not lowering enough. So let's lower them back down a little bit. Still not enough low. What's a translate Z thing then that they're not doing? Okay, we'll even up those translate Z's. And we'll tweak them a little bit. It's a mix of up and down because it's at an angle there. I feel like they're actually attached to the car there. And now I want to go back and tweak those translate Y's. Okay, let's go ahead and see that. And let's have it hit one frame sooner. So that it goes up slower than it comes back down. So it goes up, then it comes down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay, let's go watch that. tilt, and back down. Rotate X, tilt, and back down. Rotate X, and back down. Let's go and watch that. There's a little bit of a flop to those headlamps. And next, let's see, maybe we could do something with the doors there. Okay, let's go ahead and save our file. Actually, I wanted to see if we could do something with the seats. Front seat. Mid and top. Front seat, mid and top, mid and top. Okay, let's see if we can do a little bit. We'll set those there. Guess we could just do a little bit of movement and see. Otherwise, it's going to be too hard. Not too hard, but it's going to take a lot more work to get just the little effect that we want. Pull them back and push them forward. So let's see here. Let's clean that up. Again, we're getting into some stuff that isn't really with the controllers, so some of the stuff can end up being a little janky if we're not too careful with that. And we want to be careful that we're cleaning up our curves here. And let's go ahead and check that out now. Let's delay that about 2 frames. 1, 2. Side. It's probably too much. So we'll just have that little bit of bounce. And then let's do the back seats a little bit. So that'd be oh, I think that's just one controller there. So I'll go ahead and set what we have there. And does that translate? Nope. Translate Z. Lift it up. And lift it back. Lift it up. And lift it back. I think this is going to be the opposite way from what we have the other seat, so we're going to have to adjust that, but that's okay. So let's see. I do want to go in the other way. I can accentuate the back positions more on this one, that's fine. I'll probably over-exaggerate the back more, just because it's a smaller area, so we can over-exaggerate it a little bit more. And let's go 1, 2, 3. Okay, and okay, but that means I need a position here, so that's translate Z. We don't have our back key. Okay, and then maybe I guess we could do a little bit on that bumper. Let's go ahead and save our file. I think this is pretty fun. Getting into trying all of these. There's that front bumper. So let's go ahead and set that there. Translate it. Up. Down. Let's see here. so there's a little bit of overlap in the rotation of this guy. And let's check out the rotate X now. So, okay, let's go. What's that? And let's tone it down a little. I think it might be a little over the top. Well, this whole shot's a little over the top, but we can tone down that bumper at least. Yeah, translate C. Let's get those back. And let's take everything on that bumper and delay it one frame here. Still feel like we want to tone down everything on that bumper a little more. It's just a little too floppy. Let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and save our file, and then let's see if we can't get in and do something with these doors. Do we have something for those doors? Chassis, front left door, and front right door. So let's see. Is there a rotate X? No, it just does that. No, I'm gonna rotate Z. Oh, cool. There's a little bit of. So we could do just a teeny bit of rotate Z on that door. And rotate Z on that door. And we can set that. The aim. Key selected. Key select. It's not a keyable attribute or something. Okay, I'm gonna skip doing that. It might have been a fun idea, but it doesn't seem like it's working without a lot of tweaking, so I don't want to break the whole thing trying to get that to work. Plus, it's got plenty of movement here. Could do maybe a little more side to side. Should be what? Translate X. Let's see here. Okay, maybe a little less. Let's see. Maybe a little less still. Yeah, I think that's fun. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn our nerve curves off. Go ahead and get back into here. And section. No, almost looks like it. Let's go ahead and watch it now. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look back at where we started with today. And this is from Gustave Dore. I think long over any work before I commit it to paper or canvas, nor do I let it go forth without careful correction and retouching. So I hope that as you're thinking about this stuff today, that you, bare minimum, at least put a little more thought into your work before you start, and then a little bit more thought before you end. And then it's an undertaking that I do not mean to hasten. And I think that's important to look at this creative field and not rush yourself through doing stuff. To slow down, take your time, have some fun, enjoy it, and put your heart and your soul into it and your own unique flavor into this stuff, because you guys are amazing and you can do so much awesome stuff. I really believe in you. And that being said, thanks again for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of a funkier version our videos today, and let me know down in the comments the stuff that you liked, if you would have approached it different, or any sort of ideas, thoughts, comments, critiques, any of that kind of stuff. Always appreciated. You guys are amazing. I hope you are continuing to push every day towards your goals, and that being said, we'll see you for some more animation tomorrow.